Hey guys, what's going on? Gaming Jake here, and in this video, this is going to be for my 10 subscriber, special sort of type of video. In this video, I'm going to be showing 10 of my decks that I have here on Dueling Network. And as you guys can see, I have a lot of decks here. Some of them, though, I share this account actually. So J for Jake, D for my buddy David. I obviously overpower him when it comes to decks. And this is, obviously not my private account since I said that this is a shared one. But on my private accounts, I have like twice as much. So yeah, I'm that weird. But anyway, so I'm going to be showcasing my favorite 10 decks that I have on here. And I actually do keep up with like the meta and everything. And I do love to go back to the older archetypes or, the older decks that don't have really a whole lot of strong support. And I like to make them new, such as, you guys have seen with the Immortals, the Earthbound Immortal deck that I have. It's, now none of these are meant to face meta, especially, the archetype ones, the older archetype ones. They're just, something cute that I threw together and was like, hey, this deck actually does have some potential, let's not throw it away just yet. And I do make some pretty good crap out of it. So anyway, so if I do have any like older archetype decks, they're not meant to actually do anything. But anyway, so I'm showing you guys the deck list as well, so if you guys just want to copy it, then that is perfectly fine by me. It's really cool. So first of all, oh wait, nope, wrong deck, my bad. Now these are not in any specific order. These are just 10 that I really enjoyed playing. This is my Dark Blader deck. As you may have guessed, it's mixed with Dark Magician and Buster Blader. So yes, it has support from both decks, such as I have Timaeus from Dark Magician and Swordsman Whelp from Buster Blader. I don't have a whole lot of Destruction Swordsman cards other than Whelp in the Fusion card, or the Fusion spell plus the Fusion monster. I don't run the Destruction Swordsman Buster Blader counterpart, because if Buster Blader's in my hand and it's my opponent's turn, and if I got this thing set, I can't Fusion summon if I had the counterpart of Buster Blader. So I just have the regular Buster Blader in here for that main reason. And plus, I don't usually get Buster Blader out on the field a whole lot. He's usually just in my head as a dead card until I get, Swordsman Fusion. This is my Dark Magician Buster Blader deck. Feel free to pause the video, copy, paste, whatever you want to do to take this deck list. The only thing that's wrong with this deck, what I have to say would be, getting fusion material monsters in hand, because the fusion material monsters here are Dark Magician Buster Blader, Dark Magician Girl and a Dragon type monster, Buster Blader and a Dragon type monster, and Dark Magician and a Dragon type monster. The only Dragon type monsters I have in this deck are the two Whelps. However, I can get them out repetitively over and over and over again. Not to mention, I have Timaeus doesn't need the Dragon type material for Amulet, for Girl with the Dragon Knight, and Dark Paladin. The only thing that Whelp is really needed for would be the Buster Blader fusion monster. But so for that main reason of not having Whelp all the time and not having I have Timaeus, just like let's say I have a Poly and a Dark Magician in hand, chain material I can easily Poly into like Amulet Dragon or Dark Paladin with a regular Poly by banishing my monsters from deck. The only downside of chain material though is I cannot attack the turn I activate it, and if I still have the fusion monster out on the field, so like let's say that I summon Dark Paladin with chain material, then during the end phase Dark Paladin will be destroyed. So not only will I not be able to attack, but Dark Paladin will also be popped as well. So yep, so that's my Dark Magician, my Dark Blade deck. Next, we're going to another deck that I really enjoy playing. This is my Blue Eyes. I have two different Blue Eyes decks. I have Blue Eyes 1, which mainly came out. This came out before, all the new support, like when it comes to the level 1 tuners came out. I made this one with Priestess and with Alternative. However, Blue Eyes 2 consists of Sage and Protector and Priest and Ka, not to mention the spell cards Light Shrine and Light Beacon, and the Synchro Monster Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. So this is my deck list for Blue Eyes. I got 3 copies of Blue Eyes, two alternatives. The 3 maidens, just because you can't really stop a maiden. They're really, really good. And then Priest with Eyes of Blue, Protector, Sage, 3 Stones of Antiquity. Stone of Antiquity is not really as well as known when it comes to like Protector and Sage. because it was sort of like pushed under the rug, I guess, when the Blue Eye support came out. But here, let me show you guys Whitestone. So Whitestone of Legend, we all know its effect. We used to play it even in Exodia. You can, or you would play the one spell where you can discard a tuner monster to draw 2 cards, and then you would obviously discard this card, and then which would allow you to add Blue Eyes, and then you go for trading. But so Whitestone of Legend is pretty more iconic. When it's into the graveyard, add a Blue Eyes. Whereas Antiquity, when it's sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck. So you could first turn automatically get white. Blue Eyes White Dragon, or just White Caw Dragon from your deck. I mean, and it's so easy. All you gotta do is get Antiquity to the graveyard, whether it's with Dragon Shrine, or a Synchro Summon, or a Tribute, or something. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure some of these even have an effect that send a card to the graveyard. Maybe. But anyway. So the second effect of Antiquity is you can banish it from the graveyard, target one Blue Eyes monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So I would obviously, in this deck, only be able to add Blue Eyes White Dragon, Blue Eyes Alternative, White Caw, and Spirits, and Twin Burst. So, anyway guys, so here's, my Blue Eyes deck. Feel free to look at this. Now, I couldn't really pick between my Blue Eyes deck and this right here. This is my Blue Blader deck. It's a mix between Buster Blader and Blue Eyes. So I actually would recommend Blue Blader a whole lot more than just regular Buster Blader, because this deck is a lot more offensive, and it doesn't necessarily have, all those level 1s in there. Or, I mean, it's got a whole bunch of level 1s, but just because on how it's, I don't really know how to explain it. I just think that it's a bit faster, it gets to the point quicker, and it's an easier OTK or FTK or whatever when it comes to dueling. So I recommend Blue Blader rather than Blue Eyes, but whatever you get, whatever suits y'all's style. Next up, all the way down here, if I can find it, I gotta go slow. Gotta go slow. Where is it? Where is it? Alright, there we go. Now, this, obviously seems and looks a lot like Pepe, but it's really not. This deck I made for Yuya himself. If Yuya had all these Xyz monsters, I feel like this is what he would do with them. But this is a pure Yuya deck from the anime, mixed in with his OCG cards that, obviously aren't in the anime. And, just some other cards that I threw together, such as Flare Blitz and Lightning and Infinity and whatnot. But this deck is super, super consistent. It's an easy OTK. The main kill with it is if you get Infinity, Lightning, and Rebellion out all in the same turn, then it's pretty much GG. Because Infinity can negate anything. When Lightning attacks, boom, it freaking just attacks. And then if you have Time Gazer in your scale, and this deck is made with Time Gazer and Zenki as the scale, and I guess possibly Time Gazer and Dragon Pulse as well, but the main thing is Time Gazer and Zenki. But, I mean, bleh. If you have Time Gazer in your Pendulum Zone, and you got Odd Eyes Rebellion on the field, then when Rebellion attacks, since it is a Pendulum monster, Time Gazer will protect it from trap cards. So these two cards themselves are pretty protective. They protect each other, and then Infinity can just protect itself, like Mirror Force, Negate Attack, Negate, and then just goes for the attack. So right there is mainly the main kill, especially if you get off Rebellion's effect. And then you gotta have that draw power with recasting Riches, and then if you have a dead card in your hand, don't worry, you can just Wonder Balloons it for a new card, and if you send a Pendulum monster, you can get that Pendulum monster back with Pendulum Bag or Pot of Riches. And for searching, Pendulum Call, of course, and then for defensive, Helper, and then this is just control a little bit. But anyway, so next up is my ultimate, my ultimate Jaden deck. Now, I used to run this all the time, so this deck is specifically Jaden from the anime. And to where, in the anime, where Jaden or, just any character doesn't pop out, 3 Dark Magicians, Yugi won't pop out 3 Dark Magicians. Yusei won't pop out 3 Stardust Dragons, he'll only have the 1 copy of the card. So I sort of made this more of the anime style, to where he'll mainly just have 1 copy of a card, unless that card is super helpful, such as Prisma, Blazement, and I have 2 copies of Hummingbird, just because the, the Neos fusion monsters do range a lot through Hummingbird, mainly through Storm and Arneos, which I do have. So I have every copy here of the Neospatians except for Glomoss and Dark Panther, just because I don't find their fusion counterparts with Neos to be as good as Arneos and Grand Neos and whatnot. So I do not have Flare Scarab Neos just because why when I can get out Magma or Storm or anything else. So this is my Ultimate Jaden deck. I hope you guys like it. Just, you know, look at it and whatnot. Copy it, do whatever. Yeah. So anyway, next up is, and I really do want to do Pepe, but I know that you guys rage at Pepe, so I'm just not gonna, just gonna skip over Pepe. Just gonna skip over Pepe. But another one is Burning Abyss. I only just now started playing Burning Abyss actually a little bit ago against my buddy David, the one who I share the account with, and they're pretty consistent. The only issue when I found this deck list was that I had the Ritual spell card without the Ritual monster, and I get why that is, because this Ritual card has a graveyard effect where you can banish it and send a Burning Abyss from your hand to graveyard. You know, that's more of a last minute thing, but the only way to really get it in the graveyard would be with Twin Twisters or with the one card here. I think this is it. This card is sent to the graveyard. You can send a Burning Abyss spell or trap to the graveyard. So, you know, there are ways to get it to the graveyard, but what if I can't send it with Twin Twisters? What if I can't send it with Kog'Maw? So, really, I find it's, you know, just, I mean, like, the Ritual's not that hard to get out. It's just 2 level 3 monsters, and all of these guys are level 3. So, you know, the spell card works regardless. So, you know, the Ritual monster is not a must. It's, you know, I have actually never gotten it out in a duel before. I've only sent it to the graveyard. But anyway, so, you know, this is my Burning Abyss deck. I find that this card, Stygian Dirge, whatever, it really trolls the opponent because that screws up their opportunity to not Pendulum, to Synchro and Xyz summon. Because, like, let's say they got out 2 level 4s trying to go for a Beazle or Belzy, whatever, and then you play Stygian Dirge, which makes both of their monsters a level 3, therefore they can only Synchro to level 6, and then if they're trying to Xyz into something like Patali, which requires, like, 3 level 4 monsters, Dirge, make them all level 3. So this card is really trolly, not to mention with Anti-Spell Fragrance and Vanity's Emptiness. These 3 cards are freaking OP when they're all on the field together. And then Breakthrough Skill is Breakthrough Skill. It's, you know, it actually gave me a clutch win against Buster Bladers. I was playing BA against Buster Bladers, and oh, that was great. So another one is this one right here, Speedroids. Now I have seen a lot of rage when it comes to Speedroids about them being too OP, too unstable, and whatnot. But that's why I made this deck Speedroid only, based on the guy from the anime, Yugo, who has them. Just like I made the Yuya and Jaden deck, although, you know, those both were altered a little bit, but, you know, I can't make a deck with only 1 copy of each card, because then I won't have enough cards. So this deck literally requires me to run at least 2 to 3 copies of every freaking monster. I have 3 Dukes, 3 Yo-Yos, 3 Minkos, 2 Kids, 3 Red Eyes, 2 Borgs, no, 3 Borgs, 3 Tops, and 3 3-Eyed Dice. So, and then just all this support basically for them. Tuner's High, it's a new card. Discard 1 monster, special summon 1 monster, or special summon 1 tuner with the same type and attribute. Now, all these are machine and they're all wind. So basically, like, I would play Tuner's High, I would discard really nothing, because I just realized how stupid this card is, because all these cards are level 3s. And there's not a level 2, so I can't really play Tuner's High to discard a level 2 monster to add 3-Eyed Dice, and I can't add Red-Eyed Dice because it's a level 1 and there is no level lower than that. So Tuner's High might not be the best card for this deck unless, of course, you know, you throw in some level 2 machine type wind here. Let's actually see this. Alright, level 2 attribute wind, and machine. Alright, so you would have to discard 1 of these 6 monsters in order to add Tri-Eyed Dice, which would be 3. Literally just 1 of these 6 monsters here, because you wouldn't be able to discard anything else, because they're all level 3s, or 1, yeah. And you got 2 level 4s, but it's a level higher, not a level lower. So anyway, moving on. Alright, scrolling up a little bit. A little bit. Oh wow. Next up is Raid Raptors. I myself have been able to pull out, you know, the big bad Raid Raptor guy, which is Ultimate Falcon here. He's basically just towers for Raid Raptors. OP is crap. I've only done it once, and it was not in a rated duel. And then when I go in rated, I can never see, this thing can never see the light of day. which is sad. So Raid Raptors, there's pretty much not a whole lot to say. I'm sure if you guys play a whole lot of competitive duels, whether on Pro or on Dueling Network, you will see Raid Raptors a lot, especially a lot. What I really love to see is Raid Raptor versus Blackwings. Now, I know that I think was a duel in the anime, but I don't think it had a happy ending. Yeah, that's sad. But anyway, so scrolling up here, let's see. Sort of just going with this on the fly. Alright, so next up is my level 1 deck. Yeah, it's not really an archetype, it's more of just a deck based around level 1s. You can already tell that this deck's a bit trolly when you see the Relinquished. And the pre-preparation of rights, the pre-preparation of rights. But anyway, so you know, it's just a whole bunch of level 1 monsters. Little Trooper, you guys have probably never seen this card in your entire life. Basically, it's just when it gets destroyed by battle, you can summon another from your deck and face down for defense position, rinse and repeat. It's just repetitive getting out Little Troopers. That way you can obviously go into with Black Ritual, or you could Xyz into cards such as Lionheart or these two. These two freaking are trouble, and it's awesome. But so Aroma Jar, you just set when it gets destroyed, or when it gets targeted for an attack, it's just flipped up, can't be destroyed. Battle Fodder, of course, we all know what Battle Fodder does. Kinkabio, basically when it's normal summoned, you can special summon a level 1 monster from your graveyard onto your field. So therefore it's an easy Xyz, especially if you already have a monster in your graveyard. So let's say I set my Little Trooper, I have Kinkabio in hand and a Little Trooper in deck. So my Little Trooper gets destroyed, I can special summon my other Little Trooper. My turn, I summon Kinkabio. Kinkabio will summon the Little Trooper that was destroyed last turn, and I already have the one that the Little Trooper summoned itself. So now I have 2 Little Troopers and Kinkabio, which is an easy Xyz into Lionheart or Star Bearer, and I've never actually gotten Star Bearer out, but basically it's a blanket card. As long as this card is on the field, the level 4 or lower monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects. And then, you know, if this card would be destroyed, you can detach one of these material instead. So, you know, what if you don't have really level 1s in your graveyard? That's what, or, you know, for Kinkabio, that's what the Twin Twisters are for, that's what the Illusions for, and blah blah blah. Now, a real weakness of this deck would be banishments. Now, there is actually some banishment cards in this deck, such as Fodder and Rainbow Kuriboh, but mainly if you don't have a whole lot of level 1s in deck or grave, then you can't really do a whole lot. So that's why I added Imperial Iron Wall, especially for Rainbow Kuriboh, because, you know, you can just rinse and repeat Rainbow Kuriboh each turn. It would be a whole lot like this trap card here. Let me find it here. It would be a whole lot like this when it's, you know, here it is. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack while it's in your graveyard, so I just summon this card in defense position, level 4, blah blah blah. This card is not treated as a trap card. When summoned this slate, banish this card. So Phantom Knight's Shadow Veil mixed with Empyrean Iron Walls go together really well, because this card would just summon itself, and then when it gets destroyed, Empyrean Iron Walls will keep it from not being banished, and then you can just keep on, you know, protecting yourself from direct attacks. However, this isn't the case with Rainbow Kuriboh, because you can only special summon itself once per turn. So, what if you don't have, I mean, like, there is no draw power in this deck. There's searching power, though, with Where Art Thou. So the draw power does come from Mystic Piper, and that's another way on how to get monsters in your graveyard. You just tribute your Piper to draw a card, and then if it's a level 1 monster, which this deck has a lot of, then you get to draw again. So, you know, if you were to tribute a Piper, you get a Fodder, and then you draw again. Let's say you get Black Illusion Ritual. Now all you need is Relinquish. Now this is a bit of a newer card, Pre-Preparation of Rights. Preparation of Rights, the regular one, all it does is add a level 7, maybe? Prep. Alright, here we go. Add 1 level 7 or lower ritual monster from your deck to your hand, then you can add 1 ritual spell card from your graveyard to hand. So basically it does the same thing as this card, except for you add the spell card from your graveyard to your hand, you add the monster from your deck to your hand, whereas this card is you add 2 cards from your deck to your hand, 1 ritual spell card, and then the corresponding monster for that spell card. So I feel like that this card will be banned. I really do, because this card is even more cheap than Preparation of Rights. So use this card while it is still an OCG, ladies and gentlemen. And then, you know, other draw power comes from Wonder Wand and cards like Shamoji Soldier. Anyways, that was a lot on that, and I did not mean that to go on for so long. My bad. So another deck that I'm starting to, you know, still getting used to is my Blackluster Soldier deck. So this deck is not only a Blackluster Soldier, but it's also a Buster Blader, and it's also a Gaia deck. It's a mix between all three, and it actually does work. It really does. So, you know, I got my copies of Gaia because Blackluster Soldier does help out Gaia, and Gaia also helps out Blackluster Soldier. And then I have Buster Blader in here just for the sole fact on Buster Bladers. You know, they're just great. Buster Bladers are really, really great. So I added just 2 copies of Destruction Swordmaster with Whelp, and then I added, you know, the 2 fusion cards, 3 copies of Poly, and of course you gotta see that pre-preparation of Rights again, and then, you know, the Super Soldier Ritual card with the back row Rebirth, and then not to mention this extra deck is very deadly here, because if you can Xyz into 7, you get the Big Eye, and obviously take one of your opponent's monsters. You get the Castell between any of these level 4 monsters here, such as Beginning Knights, Twilight Knights, Gaia and Gaia, but whatnot. So, you know, you get Castell. Then we got Trishula, you know, because with the Whelp, it's being a tuner. Let's say you got just these 2 monsters here, or any 2 level 4s, but the Whelp right there's your Trishula. And then, you know, you got Spark Dragon when it comes to your Whelp, and you're just really anything level 7. You can easily go into a level 8 monster such as Buster Dragon or Stardust Spark, which I have in this deck. And then we got Samsara, which is the 1 plus any level 4 monster. And then we have Black Rose Dragon. This card's a bit harder to get out in my opinion because I don't really remember how to add up the numbers to that. But yeah, so anyway. Here we got Soaring Gaia, the Dragon Champion. 1 Gaia, the Fierce Knight, which would obviously be this card. Plus a Dragon type monster, which would be Whelp or any of the Synchro monsters. So, this card basically, when it's special summoned, you can add Spiral Spear Strike from deck or graveyard to hand, and then when it attacks an opponent's monster, you can change the battle position of that monster, which I find is really, really cool, especially against decks like Shadow's, because, you know, you could change the battle position of a fusion monster that has a higher attack points, and, you know, this card doesn't have to worry about it because with its 2600 attack points, it can usually take out anything when it comes to Shadow's, except for the Sheik, which is the Earth one. So we got Draco Acquist here, obviously with the polys, we can poly into this. 1 Dragon type Synchro monster, and 1 Warrior type monster with this, which this deck has a lot of. And then obviously the Buster Blader fusion. Alright, so I feel like I actually don't have a whole lot left. I do not have a list again, I'm just going through random decks here that I'm like, ooh, sweet. So, where's that numbered deck? Here we go. Numbered deck. So this deck is literally based around numbers. It's more of a Utopia deck, actually, in my opinion. It's like, you know, my Utopia 2.0. Because when it comes to number monsters, you need a whole lot of different levels because there's a lot of different numbers, which with a lot of different ways to summon them. So, like, number here, there are 6 pages of number monsters, and they all have different ranks. So again, it's very different on how to get them out, especially when it comes to more strict requirements like light or attributic monsters or type monsters that need, you know, specific attributes and types. So I mainly just stick with Utopia because it's easy to get out, especially since, you know, Utopia has its own freaking archetypes. So, you know, Utopia easily with Kagi or anything like this, you know, in this deck. And then this new card here, Wonder Xyz, it basically is just a trap card that lets you Xyz summon. So then that easily will let you Xyz during your opponent's turn. So don't worry if you can't Xyz on your turn, or don't worry if you just didn't want to. Wonder Xyz here will get the job done for you. Yeah, so anyway, this deck also runs Kaiser, 2 or more number monsters with the same rank that have Xyz materials. So obviously, this deck is so easy to get out, really any Xyz monsters. So Utopia would obviously be one, Cowboy would not be one, Cowboy would more, which be something for Utopic Future, which is not in this deck. But anyway, so, you know, easy with Utopia and Black Shipicorn. Those are really the only number monsters that have the same rank in this deck, other than, you know, the copy ones, such as 2 Beyonds, 2 Victories, 2 Lightnings, and whatnot. But, so the main point of this deck is to get out Kaiser. Yep. Alright, so a trolley deck that I really like is this one down here. Red Belzy, or Beazle, whatever it is. Red Beazle. Alright, now this deck I actually found on YouTube. I believe it was by Asian Eyes, aka Sladra Dragon, or Sage, I don't know. But anyway, so I found this deck on his channel. He didn't have a full deck list for it, I don't think so. But the main concept of the deck was easy, and I just built around that main concept. So here, the main point of the deck is to give your opponent your Beezle while you have Flare Metal and Gaga Cowboy on the field, and you give your opponent Beezle with a Sheehan Spy. So basically, you have to get out these 3 monsters all. It's easier to get them all at once. However, Beezle and Red Eyes can sustain for more than a turn. So if you can't get all 3 out on one turn, then just pop out 1, and then next turn you get the draw. Then you could obviously go into the other 2, or maybe just wait a little bit longer. But so the main point of the deck is to have Belzy, I don't know. I'm just gonna call it Belzy. The main point is to have Belzy on the field, give it to your opponent with Sheehan Spy, then play Cowboy's effect, which will deal 800 damage to your opponent. Belzy's effect will activate in response to Cowboy, therefore Belzy will gain 800 attack points. Then because Belzy's effect whoa, my computer just fell. Alright, anyway. Then because Belzy just activated its effect, Flare Metal will activate its effect and deal another 500 damage to your opponent. Then, since you just took damage, Belzy will effect will activate again, and it's literally just a repetitive loop between Flare Metal and Belzy. Now, if this loop eventually does break, then your opponent will get a Belzy with a bunch of attack points. So, like, let's say your opponent's, because really your opponent will just keep on taking 500 damage over and over and over, and eventually, lose life points. But if it does break, if the chain does break somehow with a breakthrough skill eventually on Flare, then your opponent will have one strong as crap Belzy against a Flare Metal, and hopefully you got your Cowboy in defense mode, or you would since you played its defensive effect, but so you gotta be a bit careful when it comes to this deck, and just in case, you weren't able to keep your Belzy or Beezle, whatever, on the field, or just, any of these Pendulum monsters, don't worry, Call of the Haunted. And when it comes to Synchro monsters, you can't really play a whole lot of Synchro when it comes to Pendulum unless, that Pendulum deck actually physically reads and supports Synchro. So I do have here Stygian Security. When it's destroyed, you can summon a level 1 Fiend type monster from your deck, which Security is. Therefore, Security can just pop itself, or not pop, but search for itself and summon itself. And then here I also have Unknown Synchron. The only issue is you can only special summon it with its effect once per turn. That's not really that big of an issue because normal summon is a thing, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to special summon everything. You can normal summon a thing or two. And then we got Call of the Haunted. And then if you are being raped by your opponent and you can't do jack squat, Wall of Revealing Light here will help you out majorly. It will save you a lot of life points. However, if Wall does get popped by MST or anything like that, then you are in some trouble. Because I mainly pay half my life points when it comes to Wall. Like, if I got 8k, then I'll pay 4k. Now, the issue with that is I just lost 4k for one card, but my opponent cannot attack with monsters that have less than 4k attack points, which is great. And then you also gotta have the defensive with Negate Attack and the Torrential Tribute just for the trolls, especially like if you have Belzy or Red Eyes and you don't have Cowboy just quite yet. Torrential Tribute to your Belzy and your Flare will be perfectly fine, and then you could bust out Gaga Cowboy next turn. Alright, so one more deck. I don't know if this is, if this has been 10 or not, but I'm just going to do one more because this has gone on a while. So this is a pure Roid deck. Not the Roids that you thought in GX. This is, well, it is, but it's Roids plus Speed Roids. So Roids, they do help each other out a little bit. There is a bit, support within Speed Roids that says target a Roid monster or anything, which the Speed Roids do fall under that category. So, Speedroids here, it's just really fusion summoning a whole lot of things, and then you can also use the Speedroid monsters for not only Xyzing, but for the Synchros as well, which Speedroids do specialize in. So, this card that I really like, this fusion right here, my friend David, which I share this account with, he calls this card Megazord or something, I don't know, Power Rangers, or no, this was Power Rangers, or Transformers maybe, I don't know. But no, this was Power Rangers, this was Transformers, maybe. Anyway, so this is 5 machine-type Roid monsters, and all Speed Roid monsters are machine, therefore making Speedroids eligible to get out Ultimate Battle Machine. So obviously, you gotta have the machine backup cards here, such as Limiter Removal and Power Bond and whatnot. And then just in case you weren't able to, save yourself, or let's say your opponent's running a fusion deck, you got Defusion here to not only, get your monsters back and potentially save yourself or save your fusion monster, but you know, you can obviously pop pop whatever your opponent's fusion monster as well. So it's, you know, it's good for both. And then you gotta have the Speedroid support with speed recovery and shock surprise, and then you gotta have the defensive back row with Mirror Force and then warning and box. If you have a deck that needs back row but doesn't really support or doesn't have any back row, I recommend two cards that can protect yourself from attacks. I prefer Storming Mirror Force. There are, however, a whole bunch of different Mirror Force cards that you can choose. There's also Negate Attack. There's also Sakarest 2 Armor, Magic Cylinder. I just like Storming Mirror Force because it's a whole lot more trolly. And then there's also Bottomless Trap Hole and Solemn Warning. So if you have a deck that needs some back row, I highly suggest these 4 cards here. Technically 3 cards, but 4 copies of cards. So anyway, guys, this was a very long video. You know, this may have actually not have been 10 decks, but whatever. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Gaming Jake logging out. Peace.
Don't play that.